Hello to everyone and welcome to StressOut project where we will be talking about the role of communication in stress prevention. My name is Kristina Manjkas Štuhec. I'm a special education teacher and from that perspective, I can say that communication is massively important in stress prevention. Today I'm having with me my dear friend Matea Dujmovića, who is a psychotherapist under supervision in private practice called Mindness, and she is working with individuals, couples, children and their parents. So to start with, I would like to highlight that through experts' perspective, effective communication is often seen as a key to preventing and managing stress. By understanding one another and expressing concerns clearly, we can mitigate misunderstandings and avoid unnecessary stress. So, Matea, can you tell us how can communication actually help in stress prevention?
Good day, Kristina, and hello to our listeners. I'm excited to discuss the role of communication in stress prevention. Communication is essential in managing and preventing stress. It provides a channel for individuals to express their emotions, thoughts, and needs, thereby preventing the internalization of stress. Talking about challenges can reduce feelings of helplessness and isolation, both of which are known contributors to anxiety and depression. According to the transactional model of stress and coping developed by Lazarus and Folkman, stress arises when individuals perceive a situation as threatening or overwhelming. Effective communication allows individuals to appraise stressful events more accurately and cope more effectively. Open conversations help reframe the situation, reducing its emotional impact. Through clear communication, individuals can express their needs and goals, as I said, talk about their stressors and emotional challenges, negotiate realistic solutions and expectations, and collaborate to find mutual support and understanding. Social support, a form of communication, acts as a buffer against stress. By sharing challenges, we gain reassurance and guidance, which helps make the problem seem more manageable.
That is very interesting. Well, so logically, communication affects both our personal lives and work environments. And I assume how we convey or receive information can have a direct impact on stress levels. Whether in a professional setting or at home, the way we interact can either alleviate or, I don't know, maybe exacerbate stress. So, how does communication apply in that matter, both in the workplace and in personal life?
In the workplace, clear communication plays a vital role in preventing stress by promoting clarity and reducing uncertainty. Unclear expectations, miscommunications about roles, or unclear organizational structures can create significant stress, leading to frustration, burnout, and dissatisfaction. By openly discussing workloads, deadlines, and responsibilities, employees can set realistic goals and ensure alignment. Moreover, communication in the workplace can also help us express if certain working conditions are negatively impacting our stress levels. For example, working in an inadequate or poorly equipped space, a lack of necessary resources, dealing with problems that have low chances of resolution or unclear timelines, excessive workload, unclear or changing organizational structures, undefined jobs roles and expectations, lack of professional development opportunities, also insufficient reflection and exchange of experiences, unclear organizational missions, or a lack of feedback on performance can all contribute to increased stress. Expressing these concerns openly in a supportive environment allows us to address issues before they escalate. Communication serves as a resource that helps employees manage demands more effectively. For instance, discussing workload with a manager allows for task redistribution, reducing stress and burnout risks. Open and honest communication about these stressors enables organizations to make necessary adjustments, which fosters a healthier work environment. Also, in personal life, communication provides the foundation for emotional expression and support. Talking to family, friends, or a partner about personal struggles help prevent isolation, which often aggravates stress. Positive social interactions can foster a sense of belonging, reducing feelings of anxiety and depression.
I think it's true that talking things through with someone can make the situation feel less daunting. When we share our worries, we often realize they're more manageable than we initially thought. This process of reframing is crucial in reducing stress. So, my question is, what psychological foundations explain why communication helps?
Well, you're right. Communication does help ease stress by offering emotional validation and a sense of connection from a psychological standpoint. The social support theory posits that emotional support from others lowers stress levels, serving as a protective factor. Moreover, when we talk through stressful events, we can reframe our thoughts and view the situation from a more balanced perspective. Aaron Beck's cognitive theory explains that emotional responses are influenced by how we interpret situations. By sharing our thoughts with others, we gain alternative viewpoints which help us perceive stressors less negatively.
So, we already made it clear that effective communication can be a powerful tool in lowering stress. Certain communication skills, such as active listening and assertiveness, can make a significant difference in how we manage stress. But what do you think, or what do you say about what communication skills can help reduce stress?
Several communication skills can significantly reduce stress by improving our ability to engage in healthy supportive interactions. These include, for example, active listening. So, this is fully focusing on the speaker, understanding their words and nonverbal cues. Active listening validates the speaker's experience, making them feel heard and understood. Reflecting and paraphrasing. That is, repeating or restating what the other person has said to ensure understanding and reduce misunderstandings. This prevents frustration and confusion, which can lead to stress. A nonviolent communication involves expressing feelings and needs without blame, judgment, or criticism. This creates a safe space for expressing emotions and reduces defensive reactions, fostering empathy and cooperation. Assertiveness. Clearly and respectfully expressing one's needs, rights, and boundaries. Being assertive ensures clarity in communication and prevents feelings of being overwhelmed or taken advantage of. Empathy, demonstrating understanding and concern for another person's emotions. When we empathize, we foster connection, which reduces feelings of isolation that often accompany stress. Asking questions that require more than a yes or no response encourages deeper communication. So, open-ended questions promote exploration of feelings and perspectives, reducing the risk of misunderstandings and frustration. Also, summing up what has been discussed to ensure clarity and alignment. This skill helps prevent miscommunication and keeps everyone on the same page, which is crucial for stress prevention in both personal and professional settings. The concept of unconditional positive regard is listening without judgment that is essential for building trust and reducing stress. When we feel accepted and understood, the emotional toll of stressful situation is diminished.
Setting boundaries can be tough, especially if you're used to saying yes to everything. But I've found that being clear about what I can and cannot handle makes a huge difference in preventing stress. It's all about communicating what you need to take care of yourself. Can you tell us, in that matter, how does setting boundaries help in stress prevention?
Yes, setting boundaries can be tough, but that is a very important stress management tool. Without clear boundaries, individuals may become overwhelmed by the expectations of others, leading to burnout and emotional exhaustion. Communicating personal limits, whether at work or in relationships, helps maintain a healthy balance and protects one's mental health. When individuals feel their freedom is restricted, they experience stress and discomfort. Setting boundaries preserves autonomy, reducing psychological discomfort and promoting well-being. Furthermore, boundary setting fosters a sense of control, which is key in stress management. When we communicate our limits, we regain control over our lives, making us less vulnerable to external stressors. So, it could be really useful sometimes to say, okay, this is my boundary. I can't do this. The problem is that we often overestimate ourselves, push our own boundaries, and then get angry at others. Sometimes we work on this through psychotherapy, becoming aware of our own boundaries and reflecting on how we communicate them to others and whether we even communicate them at all, while expecting others to respect them, even though we don't respect them ourselves.
Yes, that's very interesting. Well, mutual communication and negotiation can help in setting healthy boundaries. So, can you tell us how does negotiation help in stress reduction?
Negotiation is a powerful communication tool that can reduce stress by helping us adjust expectations and workloads to more manageable levels. In the workplace, negotiation might involve discussing deadlines, asking for some resources, or redistributing tasks to prevent overload. At home, negotiation might include sharing responsibilities or agreeing on ways to spend quality time together. It's easy to feel like we have to take on everything ourselves, but being open to negotiation, whether with a boss or a partner, can make a huge difference in balancing responsibilities and reducing stress. When we negotiate, we are essentially communicating our limits and needs and concerns in a way that is collaborative rather than confrontational. By negotiating effectively, we can create more realistic expectations and reduce the pressure that leads to stress.
Therapy has always been important for stress management. It helps make sense of our emotions and provides strategies for dealing with tough situations. That's why we go to therapists. Uh, but actually it's a safe space where we can be completely honest and not fear judgment. So what would you say, how does communication with a therapist actually help in stress prevention?
Yes, indeed, therapy provides a safe space for a person to explore the sources of their stress and develop coping strategies. Through open communication, a person can express emotions that they consider difficult. They can gain insights and also new perspectives. Talking to a therapist also influences how we view situations and how we approach coping with stress. For example, reality therapy, which is the therapeutic approach I use with my work with people, focuses on staying present and concentrating on things we can control and manage, like our actions. We focus on what we can do instead of just thinking and creating worst case scenarios. By working on core beliefs, we also work on our thoughts, which helps us set realistic expectations for ourselves and others. While waiting for others to change and for the situation to improve, we begin to consider what is more likely to happen rather than fixating on other scenarios, and also what we can do about it. Additionally, sometimes we work on understanding that our perceptions and expectations are often more influenced by our past experiences than by the actual situation. For example, I have a boss that yells. So, if my boss yells, that may just be a part of his behavior, but I might perceive it as very threatening because I don't know, my father yelled at me throughout my childhood. I learned to be silent and try to be invisible to avoid yelling and earn my father's approval, which I desperately sought, of course. So, I carry this behavior into my work life as well, even though my boss is angry with me because he expects me to take more initiative in working with clients, and I can't be invisible by doing that, right? And my brain is defaulting to the same behavior that worked with my father, thinking it will earn my boss's approval as well. By talking through these experiences with a therapist, a person can view stressors more realistically as well as their own behaviors, reducing emotional reactivity and promoting healthier coping mechanisms.
Yes, open communication often helps, but what when unclear communication is present? Often it can lead to unnecessary tension and frustration. When people aren't on the same page, it often results in stress, confusion, and even conflict. How can how can what would you say misunderstandings in communication cause stress?
Well, misunderstandings in communication can create significant stress, especially in professional environments. Miscommunications can lead to frustration, anxiety, and conflict, all of which contribute to stress. When we're unsure about what someone expects from us, when our messages aren't clearly received, it can lead to confusion and tension. Attribution theory suggests that people often make internal attributions when they misunderstand others, such as assuming someone is ignoring them on purpose. For example, if a colleague doesn't provide feedback on a project, one might assume it's due to their own mistake rather than considering the colleague may be busy. We humans typically think in ways that are centered around ourselves, and our actions are usually linked to our own needs or distractions. We didn't give feedback because we were occupied or with something else. Everyone likes to think of themselves as the center of the universe. However, just as I'm the center of my universe, you're the center of yours, and Petra Petric is the center of hers. We are not the center of someone else's universe, and that's why often someone's actions have nothing to do with us in that sense, but we tend to connect everything to ourselves. These misinterpretations can build up and contribute to stress. By practicing skills like active listening, paraphrasing, and reflecting, we can reduce the chances of misunderstandings. This ensures that both parties feel heard and understood, minimizing the risk of stress resulting from misinterpretation.
And what about the noise in communication? I've had that a lot through my life. What would you say about that?
I would say that noise refers to anything that distorts the message being communicated. This could be physical, for example, background sounds or technical issues. Could be psychological, example, stress, fatigue, or preconceived notions. Or semantic, for example, misunderstandings due to unclear language or jargon. For example, an already stressed employee might misinterpret a neutral comment from a colleague as a criticism, which escalates their stress. To minimize noise, it's helpful to create an environment that reduces distractions, actively listen without judgment, clarify ambiguous messages, and manage stress before it affects communication. Additionally, being mindful of how our own biases and assumptions can shape our understanding of messages can help us interpret information more clearly. Cognitive biases like confirmation bias or negativity bias can make misunderstandings worse. Confirmation bias leads us to interpret information in ways that align with our beliefs. For example, if we think a colleague is unsupportive, we may interpret neutral messages as hostile. Negativity bias makes us focus on negative information, which distorts our perception and increases stress.
Actually, what it looks to me is that communication plays a crucial role in every aspect of human life. It allows us to interact with the world around us, manage our relationships, and navigate both personal and professional challenges, right? It is through communication that we reduce misunderstandings, share our emotions, and create connections that ultimately support our well being.
Yes, precisely. Communication is a fundamental tool for understanding and connecting with others, whether verbal or nonverbal. From the moment we are born, we communicate with the world around us. We cry when we're hungry or our diaper is full, for example. And over time, we learn how to communicate in ways that others can easily understand us. Effective communication is one of the most powerful tools for preventing and managing stress. By practicing communication skills such as active listening, empathy, assertiveness, and nonviolent communication, we can reduce stress and create a more supportive, collaborative environment. Improving our ability to communicate effectively not only enhances emotional resilience but also strengthens relationships, making it easier to manage life challenges.
You summed it up really nicely. Thank you for that. And thank you for participating in this very important topic, especially in today's modern times we live in.
Thank you, and thanks to our listeners as well. I hope they'll find this useful.
And thank you to all of you who listened to this podcast. We hope it is and will be of great help to you all. Bye.